Welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown to see a transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline. VET S.O.S is brought to you by the Who You Know Network and proud members of the Parade Deck community. Today, we're sitting down with Diane Hight, founder of Forever Young Veterans. Looking forward to this conversation and learning more about what her organization's doing for our community. Riding shotgun again, Keith. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing amazing as always. Sean, how you been?
Just another day of fun and getting to talk to some great people. So can't complain at all.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's jump into it. We got Diane Hight from Collierville. I know the word. I don't know why I can't say it today. Tennessee, founded Forever Young Veterans in 2006. The mission is to end the silent suffering of military veterans 65 years and older by granting their unfulfilled dreams, returning them to the places where they fought, and bringing them honor, healing, and hope they need and deserve. Forever Young Veterans has taken veterans on 59 trips of honor since its founding, places like Normandy, Belgium, Pearl Harbor, and Washington, D.C. How you doing today, Diane?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So let's start with the creation of this organization. What led you to want to work with veterans and create this organization?
Well, I never thought I would do anything like this, honestly, but my dad became an alcoholic after World War II. And I watched him suffer so much, and our family suffered. I had a great love for my dad. Even with all of his struggles, I still was a daddy's girl. And one thing about him is he loved America. And I think when you really sacrifice for something, you have a deep love for it. And so he really instilled that in me. And so, he died quite young. I was only 25 when he passed away. So I haven't had my dad here for a very long time. And my husband got hired by FedEx. We had been in the Air Force. And so I decided that I wanted to do something for the World War II veterans. This was in 2005. And I was just thinking it would be fun just to grant a few wishes for them and just some simple things just to bring a little joy into their lives. My dad had never asked for anything from our country. And so I thought, I just want to do something for them. And just in my community, I wasn't thinking anything very big. And what I found out with these veterans as I began to work with them was they were suffering just like my father. And I was blown away by that because, I think when you go through something traumatic, you think you're the only one. And I've been around World War II vets my whole life in my church and my community and my neighborhood. And I never dreamed that they were suffering silently, just like my dad. And so that was a big shock to me. And so as we began to grant these wishes, I realized how much they needed healing in their lives. And so that's kind of when we changed our mission from just trying to honor them and bring a little joy to bringing healing into their lives. So that's how it began.
Very nice. That's amazing. It's not only the story, which is tragic and something we hear a lot with people in our community, right? But your desire then to turn around and turn it into a positive to help, future veterans is just amazing. So, all right. So tell us about the organization itself.
Well, we started it in 2006 and we became a nonprofit in 2006. And I wanted to work with the older veterans because I thought, there's a lot of programs for the younger guys, but there's really not anything for the older guys. As you know, PTSD, combat stress, things like that were not discussed in World War II and Korea. And so I wanted to do something for the guys like 65 and older. And when I started this, no one was talking about World War II. No one. And so as I began to tell that we were honoring World War II veterans, they were just so excited. I had vets coming up to me and saying, I have not heard anyone mention World War II in 50 years. So they were just thrilled that they had not been forgotten. And so that's why, and also my dad was in World War II and Korea, and I just had such a love for them. You can't help but love them. They're the greatest men, and we have few women too. they're just the greatest in the whole world. And there's no one like them. And we're just so grateful. And they're just so easy. You go on a trip, they don't complain. Whatever comes, they're just happy to be alive. They know what's important. And so that's kind of how it began, just wanting to do something for those who had never asked for anything from our country.
That's such a incredible, such an incredible story. And so I'm curious, like, you know, how do these trips come about? Like, do veterans, you know, that fit the category of 65 years and older, do they just reach out and say, hey, I'd love to go here? Or do you kind of proactively, hey, we're going to schedule a trip to this location and you go try to find the veterans to bring along, kind of thing? How does that all get coordinated?
I never intended to do trips. It kind of fell into my lap, actually, because we were just granting individual wishes. I'll just give you a quick example of one. So we had a World War II pilot, and all he wanted was to sit in a modern day cockpit and just talk about the advances in aviation technology. That's all he wanted.
Wow.
And so that's easy. So my husband is FedEx pilot. He's retired now, but at that time he was flying. And so FedEx was just so gracious to us, and they let him go into the cockpit, and there were 2 or 3 pilots that went in with him. And I'm thinking, oh, this will be 45 minutes. It was like 3 or 4 hours. They come out. But it was just so fulfilling in his life. So that's kind of what I was thinking about. But then we got a wish from a World War II veteran, and he said that he wanted to go to Washington, D.C. to the World War II memorial. And I thought that's a really good wish. And we had sent a Pearl Harbor survivor back, and we just sent them. I mean, I wasn't going with them or anything. And so I was thinking I would just do the same thing with this guy. Send he and his wife, and I had a Marine that lived there. He was going to take care of them, take them around, and fly them home in a couple of days. But I didn't expect this to happen. He began to tell all his buddies. So I started getting phone calls like, well, I was at church and this World War II guy said he's going to DC and I want to go. Could we go? And there's 5 of us. And I'm like, okay. So I just wrote down his information. And then I got another call. I was in the athletic club, and this World War II vet said he's going to DC. I would love to go. And so I had about, I guess I had about 8 on the list. And then I get a call from the Memphis newspaper, and they said, we hear you're taking World War II veterans to DC. We'd like to do a story on it. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't even know at that time how I was going to do it. And so I said, well, I can only take 10. That's all I'm going to be able to take. So I think I could only take 3 more. So I said to him, you have to put it in your story that I can only take 3 more. Well, I got 30 phone calls.
Oof.
And some of them were quite elderly. And I realized then they're not going to be able to go alone. So I contacted a travel agency, and I said, I really need your help to get me to DC with all these heroes. So we took our very first trip in 2009 to DC, and it was perfect. And we saw healing in their lives, even from just going to DC. And so I don't know. When I look back, I think that I was thinking this was a one-time deal. And when we came back from DC, I had 50 more veterans within 48 hours. And so we started raising money, go to DC, raise money, go to DC. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm really into something now. And then we were in DC one time and got a little tap on my shoulder. And the vet said, Diane, you know what I really want? I said, what do you really want? He goes, will you take me back to Normandy? He was a D-Day vet. And I was like, I kind of laughed because, it's one thing taking elderly veterans to DC. Yeah. And it's a whole nother thing taking them out of the country. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I don't know if I can do this or not. I was just thinking about it. We had never had anyone ask to go to Normandy. Yeah. Soon as that came out of his mouth, guess what? I started getting phone calls. They didn't even know him. Can you take me back to France? I want to go back to Normandy. It was all these vets. All of a sudden, I was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, is this something I could really do? So, hey, we're in the South. So I went to Sunday school. I told everyone in Sunday school, I need y'all to pray because I do not want to do anything I should not be doing. I mean, if it's not the right thing for me to do to take these guys out of the country, then I don't want to do it. So I said, just pray that I'll have a sign. Well, this gentleman contacted me that week, and he wasn't part of our church. And he goes, will you have lunch with me? I said, sure. And he said, you know what I heard? And I said, what? He said, I heard that you have some vets that want to go back to France. And I said, yes, we do. And he handed me a check for $100,000. And he said, you take our boys back to Normandy.
Oh, wow.
And I went, I have a sign.
Holy cow.
We went to Normandy for the first time. I have chills talking about it. We went to Normandy for the first time in 2011. And as healing as DC is, there is no comparison to taking these men back to where they fought. It is so special. And so what it does to their souls, even if they played a very small role in their minds over there, they see for the first time, wow, my life mattered, because they see what the Americans did, what they did over there to bring freedom to the world. And they, when we come back from Normandy, they have a skip in their step. Let me tell you, they are so different. I've had so many family members tell me, my dad is different since he came back from Normandy. He's lighter, happier. He is outgoing now. He laughs more, and we have a closer relationship than we've ever had in our lives.
Wow.
I wish fundraising was always that easy, huh?
Right.
That was only a one-time deal.
The power of prayer, right?
That's fantastic. So how do people get involved? One, to participate in something, like, do you have planned trips, or do they just call with requests, like a Make-A-Wish type thing, and you develop a trip? And then two, how do people get involved if they want to help and support?
Well, I didn't answer your question, Keith, earlier. The way I've done the trips, I don't just say, oh, we're going to Italy. I wait until I hear from the veterans where they say, please take me back to Italy. I would never have gone to Italy. We've been to Normandy 10 times. We've been to Belgium 9 times. We're taking World War II Battle Bulge vets back to Belgium in June. We've been to England and we've been to Italy. Well, so this guy that fought in Italy, he came to me and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, you've got to take me back, and he said, I'm not going to be able to walk much longer, so we got to hurry. And so I'd never thought about it, and I was like, okay. And there was not a lot of guys around the Memphis area that fought in Italy that I knew of. So it was a little bit more of a difficult trip. We had a ton of Battle Bulge vets here. We even had quite a few Normandy vets. So that was more of a challenge. And it was the hardest trip I've ever raised money for, because people would say to me, did we fight in Italy? They didn't know anything about Italy. They know about Normandy, and they knew about the Battle of the Bulge, but they didn't know anything about that. So that's what I usually do. I wait to see what people are asking for. We just returned in June from the 80th of Normandy, and we had an Omaha Beach D-Day vet there and with us. And we were on the bus coming back from something, and he said to me, we started talking about the World War II Museum in New Orleans, and he said, I've never been there. I would love to go back. And he's 101. And so I said to him, I said, well, hey, if you haven't been and you're a D-Day Omaha Beach vet, I think we're going to New Orleans. And so we are going there on February the 10th. We have some vets that we're taking. So that's kind of how we do it. And then we put the word out. And You know, in the beginning, it was Memphis area veterans. But what happened with that, when we went to Normandy the first time, one of our D-Day vets said to me, he's the one that tapped me on the shoulder. He said, I have a friend in New Jersey that fought with me. He said, would you care if I invited him? I was like, of course not. Is there anything more beautiful than returning two buddies, comrades that fought together? So that's how we started bringing more people from around the country because they were comrades of our veterans here. So now we take vets from all over the nation. And well, we have a place for everyone. We need volunteers. We need people to help us find these veterans, like going to the Battle of Bulge. Now, people often say they're too old to be going back there, don't you think? You would not believe the shape our vets were in for Normandy. They were amazing. They are all mobile with a cane. And so many of these guys are still in great shape. And we take a medical team, we honor them, we take great care of them. So, excuse me, yes, they are able to still go back. Will this be our last trip? It might be because of their ages, and it may not. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. And so I'm just curious, too, because, you know, I've been to those sites. I've been to Normandy. I've been to the Battle of the Bulge sites, and they're sobering. And yeah, and I've been there where there's vets from those conflicts present, and I've gotten to talk to them, and it's just surreal. But admittedly, right, you know, that generation is getting up there in age. So are there plans to start going to Korea or Vietnam for folks if they start requesting it? Or
you know what happened with that? We were going to Korea in 2020.
Oh, wow.
And we were going to Vietnam in 21. And COVID disrupted those two.
Yeah.
And actually, Vietnam hasn't even been open that long. So that's kind of been on the back burner. We're just kind of waiting to see how all this unfolds. And so we've just continued to focus on our World War II veterans. We do honor World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. We have taken all of them to Pearl Harbor, and we take mostly, I mean, we still take World War II and Korea to DC, but it seems like most of our trips to Washington, I'll get it out, Washington, DC, it's mainly Vietnam vets. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my father, he's a Vietnam vet, and I wasn't with him, but he got to see the traveling Vietnam Wall, the one that's mobile. And my mom was telling me just the healing she saw from that, just seeing the traveling wall and, you know, bringing back all those memories. And he's expressed, he's like, maybe I would be. You know, I remember when I was a kid, he's like, I'm never going back there kind of thing. But, you know, as he's getting up there in age, he's like, you know, maybe I could go back there one day just to see and remember. But
yeah. Hey, well, tell him to come on. We'd love to have him. I love the Vietnam vets. They are just so appreciative of everything we do for them. I adore them. Yeah.
They're a fun bunch. Well, I think any old veteran, we reach that point where we just don't care anymore. We're crusty and ornery, and they're the best ones. Like, you know, even when I go to my VFW or something, it's, you know, the old guys are the best ones to talk with. So
they are. They're awesome. They make me laugh so much. They're just they're funny.
So unfortunately, Diane, we are coming up on time, and which breaks my heart because I mean, I want to keep going. I'm sure you have so many amazing stories, so we might have to bring you back on for another episode. But with that said, so for folks listening, that, you know, we typically operate in the transition space. So I don't know how many World War II veterans we have listening in on the podcast, but you never know. So if somebody's interested in signing up for a trip or your services, or more importantly, if somebody's like, this is, you know, speaking to them and tugging at their heartstrings, how can people reach out to you to support this program?
Well, our website is foreveryoungvets.org. And so go there. That we do have a volunteer form. We can find a place for you, or if you're in another state, if you want to help us find veterans. So, you know, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, any veteran over 65, we will honor. They don't have to be in war. We just want to let them know how much we love and appreciate everything they've done for our country. And so we want them all. and we will meet their needs the way that, however they desire. We will do everything possible to honor them.
That's amazing. Yeah. And, you know, vets love helping vets. So I got to believe that even our folks listening in, the younger folks listening in, I'm sure that you definitely hit some heartstrings, and they're going to want to support. I know I'm interested. So, no,
Well,
thank you, Diane.
Can I add one
Sure.
thing?
Absolutely.
I've never
Please.
taken a salary. I do this all for my dad and my uncles who fought in World War II in Korea. And so I do this out of love and passion.
Yeah, and it shows. Your heart is very evident in all of this. So thank you so much for all that you do for our veteran community, Diane. It's an amazing program, and it's been amazing having you on the show. We can't thank you enough. So, and on behalf of the entire VET S.O.S family, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. VET S.O.S is growing and spreading its wings. You can follow us on all the social media platforms. Make sure to check us out, check all three of our shows out, I should say, and follow and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube, Reach Across America Radio, Trade Deck, you name it. We're on there, all those favorite podcast platforms. And remember, don't drown on the sea of transition. Grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline.